Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Studio Ghibli Summer. I'm, of course, RussellStarTrek, joined by the amazing Oddboy.
Yeah, hell yeah, boy.
And after the rather traumatic experiences that was great with the Fireflies, we had to kind of take a break for a little bit. But we're back now, and we're continuing Studio Ghibli Summer off by talking about the next movie that was ironically enough released on the same day as Grave of the Fireflies. We are talking about My Neighbor Totoro, released again on July 5th of 1988. Now, everyone should know this one. Even if you haven't seen it, you mostly recognize, the name Totoro and the fucker who has the exact same name as that, because he is used as, the whole marketing brand for fucking Studio Ghibli as a whole. He is on, the name for it. It's like all over the promotion material. In fact, he's such a popular character that, people have gone and made cameos in other films, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so needless to say, I was a bit hyped for this one to see how not only it would live up to, I guess, the legend of it, being the mascot of Studio Ghibli as a whole, but also seeing how it would compare to the original three films, to the previous three films beforehand. And, yeah, but we'll talk about it as we go on through the video itself. Obviously we're going to be talking about, like our history with the film and that sort of shit. But I don't really think there's that much to say about it, because I think we both pretty much have the exact same kind of opinion or sort of thing, where basically we didn't really watch the movie until about, we heard about it. Yeah, we heard about it because obviously it was the fucking mascot of Studio Ghibli. And, there was like kind of like all this hype around it, like, oh my god, it's like one of the best Studio Ghibli movies ever. And like, it's the mascot of the entire company. So needless to say, we were kind of excited for it. And obviously we just watched it before recording this. And I think this is actually the first one where, well, actually, no, I shouldn't really say that. Where our opinions kind of divide a bit, but not by much. As we'll go on throughout this review. Yeah, Franco, what was your experience with My Neighbor Totoro?
I mean, I didn't really know anything about it, but I did hear that this was a lot more uplifting compared to Grave of the Fireflies, so I was like, okay. But I didn't even know that Totoro was actually the mascot of Studio Ghibli. Like, when we, you guys know, like, when you play a Studio Ghibli movie, there's, like, that blue screen with, like, the company's logo and, like, there's that character. I didn't even realize it was Totoro until now.
Which, I'm like, so now, like, what? Like, how did you not know that, like, that was the mascot of, like, the entire company?
Well, I think with you at least knew a little bit about Studio Ghibli before me, because I'm still, like, a newcomer. Like,
I guess, yeah.
I didn't know anything about Studio Ghibli until last month, but I think for you know a little bit beforehand.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I think that's, pretty much about it for that. So let's get on to the review itself. So this was made with a budget of around 3.7 million in US money. In Japan, it made about 27 million, and worldwide it made about 41 million. So you may think that, this movie did massively better than how the previous films did, because, they only had like a few $1 million in their budget and only made about like over like 10 million, which is not bad, but compared to, like most movies around then where they were making like at least a few, like 50 million or maybe a few 100 million, this is like those were very minuscule compared to this. But there's a bit of I guess not really controversy, but a bit of weirdness about it, and I'll explain that later on. And of course, this was directed by once again by the great Hayao Miyazaki after not returning or being kind of absent from the directing duties of Grave of the Fireflies. And while that it kind of made that movie better, I don't really see this movie really working without Miyazaki's directorial involvement with the film. Because wow, what a mood changer compared to Grave of the Fireflies. Like, this is probably the most uplifting movie I've ever seen out of Studio Ghibli's catalog so far. And that's saying something. So I mean, like, yeah. But to go over the plot, this acclaimed animated tale by director Hayao Miyazaki follows schoolgirl Setsuko, played by Dakota Fanning in the American version, and her young sister Mia, played by Ella May. Oh yeah. Fuck, man. Played by Ella Fanning in the American version. As they settle into an old country house with their father and wait for the mother to recover from an illness in an area hospital. As the sisters explore their new house, they encounter and befriend playful spirits in their house and the nearby forest, most notably the massive cuddly creature simply known as Totoro, played by Frank Welker. So yeah, that's a very, very simple plot compared to, Grip of the Fireflies or Castle in the Sky, or not. Nausicaa was very involved with its plot, but even like Castle in the Sky was very, I wouldn't say plot driven, but like you had to kind of like understand what was going on around it to fully understand it. This is just like, we're just watching this family get to know their surroundings, and then all of a sudden there's this big ass fucking creature walking around, or like trying to get to know the area. So it's very simplified compared to its the previous stories, and it does kind of I will admit it did feel nice to go from such involved stories from like with Nausicaa and Castle in the Sky and Grave of the Fireflies, to then go to this very, very simple story where nothing really much happens, if I have to be honest. I mean, and Abo, you could probably feel the same way about it. That nothing really much of major like consequence happens throughout the movie, and to this film's benefit, it does work. Like if I said that about like Castle in the Sky or Grave of the Fireflies, that would be in like against the movie. But for this simple of a story, that actually works to its benefit, because that allows kind of like the characters to kind of for us to experience things with them, and kind of have us kind of just go along with the story with them. So I do really like that. But
yeah, I mean, like, especially after the very depressing experience of Grave of the Fireflies, going from like this insane World War II story just to like a simple, like, I guess, life story. That's a nice, it's nice, it helps us feel better after that experience.
Yeah. And so now let's go over the cast. We have Satsuko, played by Dakota Fanning. I think she did a very good job with it. To be honest, though, I don't feel as attached to her as compared to like some of our other main characters in the other films, such as Satu or Seta or Pazu or even Nausicaa in a way. But you do feel for her.
Yeah.
Like she is a very reasonable character to kind of like understand and just try and experience the wonders that they go through just along as they do. But what did you think about Setsuko in the film?
Okay, well, first it's Satsuki.
Satsuki. Is it actually?
Yeah,
I thought they pronounced that Satsuko.
it's Satsuki.
Satsuki. All
Satsuki.
right.
Yeah, I think Satsuki. But I thought she was a pretty good character, and I think Dakota did pretty well, uh, capturing like the young, like the youth in her, and also being like the older sister as well.
Mm-hmm.
She definitely has that energy in her, which I do like.
Yeah, I don't think they ever actually established like how old she is.
I could look it up right now.
I think she's in elementary school. So I'm gonna say like 8 years old.
Oh, she's
I
10.
went okay, 10. So yeah, I could see that. And then we have May played by Ellie Fanning. Are these two like actual sisters in real life?
I wouldn't be surprised. I'll go ahead and check.
Because that can't be a coincidence. I'm just saying. There's no way that's a fucking coincidence.
Oh yeah, they actually are. They're actually real life sisters.
Okay, so so now that actually makes sense for the sisterly kind of dynamic between the two. And it really does actually work.
Yeah, like it definitely feels real.
Like, I will admit, while the relationship between our two main characters isn't as powerful as the bond between Pazu and Shita in Castle in the Sky, or even Seita and
Setsuko.
Satsuko in Grave of the Fireflies, you still feel for them because granted they seem to adapt to the new area fairly well at the beginning. It's just that some weird things happen around them, and they kind of both experience it in different ways, but they do kind of like regain with each other to kind of like go and go and like tackle things like with each other. So I do kind of like that. But what do you think about May in the film?
I thought she overall was like a good character. You know, trying to think like how to phrase this, but like, you know, uh, I am, I am like, I will say I was surprised of like how well like Ellie Fanning was able to capture like the very young, sister
Yeah.
vibe.
Well, technically, also Dakota as well. She obviously she didn't have as much of a challenge,
Yeah,
but she did convey the role of a 10-year-old girl very well,
yeah,
and May as well. Because I think because her character is supposed to be 4
yeah.
in the film.
Yeah, it's supposed
So
to be
yeah,
cool.
that's a 6-year gap, and yet they both sell it very well.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Then okay,
Here we go.
I know this. Yeah, this is like my inner fanboy breaking out when I figure this out. And this, you know what? Honestly, this might be my favorite character in the film because okay, so we're next up is the father played by Tim Daly. Okay, before I get on to who this guy is, and why I love him so much, I think he's my favorite character because for most of us, the dad is actually the one that we relate to the most. Like like the kids, we follow throughout like the majority of the film, but the father is really like what like almost every like adult or even like really older sibling would be like you have these kids start saying like oh, there's like magical creatures around, and then the father is trying to believe it, but he knows realistically like it's probably just my kids like making up like a story to try and maybe not scare me, but try and
He's just letting them live their magic life.
Yeah, but I think he does know by the end like what's actually going on. I think. I could be am I wrong about saying that or no?
I'm not 100% sure. Cuz
we'll get to that later when we get to I'm pretty sure when we get to favorite scenes.
Yeah.
But I do believe he like truly does believe in this creature by the end. But the reason why I think he's my favorite character is not only one because I can kind of relate to him to an extent, but also the voice actor Tim Daly caught my eye when I figured out who the father was voiced by. When I heard the voice, I was like, wait a minute, that sounds familiar. And then I Googled it. This motherfucker is Superman. Yes, so for anyone who doesn't know, obviously in the early 90s, there was a little cartoon show called Batman the Animated Series, and that did fairly well for about 2 seasons. And then I don't know, I'm not sure if Warner Brothers canceled it or they just stopped like airing episodes. I'm pretty sure I don't think they canceled it. I think they just like stopped producing it. But in the mediated time between seasons, maybe 2 or 3, and then up until the next season would come out a few years later, they produced a little, a kind of like a side show to it, called Superman the Animated Series. And guess who? And obviously Tim Daly did the voice for Superman. So when I realized that it was Superman voicing the father in this movie, I couldn't get that out of my head. I'm like, bro, I just see Clark Kent in this movie, and it's so goddamn adorable. So, yeah. But what did you think about the father in the film?
I like this character. Supposed to be the supportive father, even whether he believes it or not. He's just trying to keep his kids happy, in life, and I do respect that. Uh,
Yeah.
I would not have even like guessed that this was the same voice actor for Superman. Like, it's amazing how Studio Ghibli can get some of these like actors from like you know well-known characters,
Yeah.
and we still have a lot more to go. So who knows?
We still have a long way to fucking go.
Yeah, so who knows like how many famous actors or something we will go through.
Yeah. And then we have the granny played by Pat Carroll. Now, do I remember? I feel like I might remember her for something, but it's nothing that's coming to my mind. But yeah, she's basically like the neighbor to our family that we follow throughout the film. And it's very much she's very much like a supportive or it's like a secondary kind of like supportive character. But she pulls it off very well. But what did you think about the granny in the film?
I thought she was a pretty good character overall. Supposed to be that, you know, just like most Studio Ghibli movies, she's supposed to be like that old wise character that supports our main characters, and being called Granny and having like a grandma influence. I think she does pretty damn good.
Yeah. And I think for the rest of the characters here, and then we have the mother played by I think you say Lea Salonga, I think. I'm so sorry if I butchered that name. She even though she only has like a couple scenes throughout the film, like I think one in like kind of like the beginning of the film, or maybe at the middle, and like a couple scenes at the end. I think she very much pulls it off as like a very concerned kind of mother for her children, and you kind of feel for them about how like the situation that she's in. But what did you think about the mother?
I thought overall for her time she was another good like supporting character. Like, yeah, even though she doesn't have a lot of screen time, we do kind of, I guess, arc like we can like her.
Yeah, it kind of just makes you feel more for the situation that the kids are in, because it's a very emotional spot to be in. To have their mother not be in a good place with this illness that I don't even think they established in the movie. I think yeah, I don't think they ever actually say what she has. And it does get brought up once that that she has that they think it's a cold, but then they explained that this is what they said like the last few times that they got telegrams back from the hospital saying oh, it's just a cold. We're gonna keep her for like a week or two more. So, what do you think that she honestly has? Because I genuinely do not know. I don't think it's a cold because that wouldn't have lasted that long. I think it's something that's like something else that was going on. But I'm not totally sure what it was.
Yeah, I have no clue what it could be.
I mean, for all we know, yeah, it could be a cold. I could be, totally in the wrong here, but it's just at the same time, I don't really see a cold lasting for as long as it's implied in the movie.
All right, I just looked it up. So apparently, the mother is suffering from how do you say this? Tuberculosis.
Oh, tuberculosis.
Tuberculosis. That's apparently what she had.
Oh. Okay, I remember that now because wait, no, not from the film, but I remember the name because if you guys watched my review on Tombstone, which was fucking God, at least a year ago now, one of the main characters played by Val Kilmer, his character was suffering from tuberculosis. So yeah, I guess that actually would reinvigorate the cold, like to kind of come back. But by the end credits, we learn. But I think we see her getting better, right? So,
I think so, but
yeah, because she comes back home.
Yeah,
because they after they say actually we'll talk about that when we get to favorite scenes.
Yeah.
And then we have the poster boy himself, Totoro, played by or voiced by Frank Welker, who also did the Cat Bus as well. And by voice, I mean just made random sounds for it and the roars and stuff that you hear throughout the film.
Yeah.
There's not really much to say about it. It's just growls and like noises and shit. So
yeah.
He does all right. There you go. And then we finally have Kanta or Kanta. I think that's how you say it.
Kanta.
Kanta. Okay. Played by Paul Butcher. He's a very, very small character. I think he only appears a few times throughout the film.
Yeah.
And he doesn't even have any speaking lines until more than halfway through the movie, I think.
Yeah, because his character, from what I have to assume, his character is pretty shy around most people he doesn't really know.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that's literally 100% me. I cannot, for the life of me, talk to anyone besides anyone I know, like friends and my mom. That's literally it. So, I find him very relatable. And apparently, when I was looking up Paul Butcher, apparently this motherfucker played in Zoe 101. Which I've never seen before, but anyone who is is a fan of old Nickelodeon, you might recognize that show.
I never even heard of that show before you just mentioned it.
Yeah,
actually wait, I think I've heard it a couple of times, but I genuinely did not even remember what the fucking show was about.
I heard of it, but it's I never cared for it.
Same.
It was it was a smaller show. It wasn't as big as Drake and Josh, iCarly, but it came out in between Drake and Josh and before iCarly.
Yeah.
But I just found that out, so I was like, "Oh, okay, that's cool."
Yeah, and so yeah, I think we'll go over the music and favorite scenes first, or now, and yeah, I think the music overall is very good. I think.
Yeah.
Not as good as Grave of the Fireflies or The Castle in the Sky.
Yeah.
But it serves its job.
Yeah, it definitely is enjoyable, and I do think it overall works with its environment.
Yeah.
Nausicaa,
exactly.
that was flawed because the techno music just ruined the vibe. because it doesn't work in like its environmental setting. This,
Yeah.
however, it does work, which makes it good.
But I think this film was mostly orchestral. I think I'm not totally sure because of course we watched the U.S. Disney English dub for the film, so I'm not sure whether or not. But again, I think it's a mix. I think it was kind of a mixture of both. Um, but yeah, I think the music overall is very good. And then we were gonna go to favorite scenes now, which I think the one that always or the one that kind of stuck with me the most. But okay, there's two. The one is the one that everyone knows. It's on the fucking poster art. It's when the two kids. Excuse me. The two kids are walking back home from I think school, and it starts to rain, and they're waiting for their father over by the bus stop. And I think like the first bus shows up and he's not there, and then like someone on a bicycle rolls past and it's not him, and then they hear these footsteps, and it's like walking over, and then you see like the paw on the ground, and the look on her face is just like, what the fuck am I looking at? And then you see like the claw, and then she looks up and she sees it for her first time because obviously uh we see it in shots earlier. But this is like the first real time that we're seeing Totoro standing up, I think. And like her face is pretty much what everyone would think. Any normal person would think when they saw something like that. It's like, what the fuck is that? Um and yeah, they just sit there and just waiting, and I think Suzuki, god damn it, is like she gives him the other umbrella that I think they were to give it to their dad, and after, and this is a very wholesome scene of just like Setsuki finally meeting Totoro for the first time, and it's just probably it's definitely the most iconic shot out of the entire movie because like it's on the fucking poster. Like clearly investors knew that like that shot was going to be important and that was going to sell it, so they just used that. um and then the other my actual kind of favorite scene is when they have these I think it's acorns, right? They have these acorns that Totoro gave them, and they planted out in the backyard, and they sit there for did they say how many days they sat out, or they waited for the acorns to grow ever since they planted them, and they haven't yet.
I don't
uh, uh,
I don't remember if they ever said like exactly how long, but if I had to guess, probably a couple days up to a week or something. Probably a couple
i'm gonna
days.
say i'm gonna say like 3 to 4 days.
Yeah, somewhere. I think somewhere around that is.
And on one night they're going to bed, and then like they look out the window and they see Totoro, you know, walking around the acorns, like kind of doing this like little like dance, whatever. And they both see him, and they're like, that's Totoro. Let's go and see what's up. And the father is completely oblivious, working on his work. But they go over there and they start like dancing along, and then like they see all the Totoros, or like they see Totoro kind of like doing this like little thing, so they start following him, and then it just grows this big ass tree, like out of fucking nowhere, and it's like how the fuck did no one notice that? But yeah, what were your favorite scenes from Totoro?
So there's quite a few, but I think if I had to, I think my favorite would probably be. I don't think it's as iconic, but it was just really wholesome to me. So I liked it a lot. But like, it's the scene where like I'm looking back. It's the scene where like Satsuki is at school, right? And she's just in class, just working, and
I know what you're talking about.
but yeah, so she's just working, right? Just getting, just finishing her work, just like any other school classmate would. And then, she looks out the window, and then the fucking granny and May are just standing there, and she's like, "What?" So, she lets the teacher know that the sister's outside. And okay, this is not what makes the scene funny, but this just confused me. It's like the kids are reacting like, "Oh my god, it's her sister!" It's like, where? It's like, what's she doing here? And it's like, why is that?
That's a part. I think that's a part of like why the scene is funny.
But
It's not like the main point, but it's like a part of it. It's like, why the fuck is everyone being like so like, oh, look, it's her sister. Like, chill, bro. It's just a fucking girl
yeah,
that's 4 years old. Like,
but
calm it down a bit. But go on.
so Satsuki, runs to them, and like, she's like, "Why are you guys here?" And Granny's like, "Oh, I can't keep her happy. She won't stop crying. She wants to be with you." Uh, which and like after
It's very heartwarming.
yeah, and after ow shit, I fucking ow, I fucking hit my hand against the wall.
Like, what did you just punch it?
I can't even describe, honestly. But anyway, so May, you can see just May just in tears. She wants to be with her older sister, and then she just goes up to her and just hugs her, and I just find that so wholesome. It's like, how can you not love that?
Yeah.
And then Satsuki's like, "Okay, I'll ask the teacher and see what we can do." And then the next shot, it has fucking. It has, I think the screenshot will be up here, but like literally the next shot, it has fucking May smiling like right in front of the camera. And like when me and Russell saw that, we were dying laughing. Like Russell was like laughing so hard.
Oh my god! Because the thing about it is like it's so out of nowhere that you're just like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So like it just caught me off guard more than anything. But it's a like 100% like a Ponyo moment, like you would see from like Ponyo. You just like see her just like staring at the camera. But yeah, that was a good scene. I think it's the only reason why I didn't really include it because I was just more laughing at it than like actually like enjoying the moment. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but this to me is probably my favorite moment, just because it's so wholesome to me, and I like seeing the characters bond.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna move on to the fun facts, and this first one is what I was kind of alluding to early at the beginning of the movie, or at the beginning of the review. Did you know that this film was initially a box office flop? Let me explain. Basically, in order to win over financiers, Suzuki suggested that My Neighbor Totoro be shown alongside another Studio Ghibli film, that being Grave of the Fireflies. As we mentioned last time, as kind of like a sort of like double feature sort of thing on the exact same day. So basically, the latter movie was backed by publisher, I think you say Shincho Oso.
Senchosa, if I had to guess.
Zinchotsa, okay. Which at the time was more established than Kumo Shorten, the publisher that founded My Neighbor Totoro. This idea was ultimately approved, and the two films premiered together in 1988. My Neighbor Totoro didn't become a commercial success. I just slurred there so bad. My Neighbor Totoro didn't become a commercial success until it made its way to Japan, to Japanese televisions. Suzuki has quoted as saying, out of all the movies made by Ghibli, Totoro had the worst opening box office. He would later go on to say in the anniversary version of the DVD, a year later, it aired on television. When it aired on NTV, the ratings went off the charts. So yeah, like it's kind of weird when you like look back at it, because like I think the records that we got for box office was converted into like today's money. So like 41 million seems like a shit ton of money compared to, when having a $3.7 million budget. But realistically, you got to take into account that this is American money today versus Japanese money in 1988. Like 3.7 million back then would have been like over like 10 billion yen back then. So, it may not have done that well, like commercially. But now it's obviously seen as like one of the best Studio Ghibli movies of all time. But just box office wise, it didn't do that well. But it was when it came up on television was when it kind of it found its stride and was like kind of cemented as like a Studio Ghibli classic.
The power of TV.
Pretty much, yeah.
It's amazing just how much TV can give you an advantage. Like, and
Yeah.
considering that this was 1988, and pretty much all the kids, whether in East, West, or wherever, they were always glued onto their TVs.
Yeah. So fun fact number 2 is that did you know that the film setting was inspired by the beautiful area where Miyazaki lived? So yeah, the movie is set about an hour's drive away from Tokyo in I think you say Sehama Hills. In a I know I'm probably gonna butcher this, but Tokoraza or Tokawaza. I'm probably butchered that so hard.
Tokorozawa. I don't know.
Yeah, Tokorozawa. Let's just go with that. Where Miyazaki owns a home. Miyazaki frequently strolled around the town and took in the lush scenery, which inspired much of the film's backdrop. He went on to say that if I didn't live in Tokazawa, Totoro would have never been born. Suzuki quoted Miyazaki. The area is now nicknamed Totoro Forest, and fans come to visit a Totoro statue inside the house of Kurosik, which looks similar to the one featured in the movie. I think that's actually really cool though, that you got a you got your location based you got your location to basically be in a movie, and then it became kind of a tourist attraction. I think that's sick as hell. But yeah, and then the third fun fact is did you know that Totoro has a cameo in Toy Story 3?
Now, to many of you people, it might seem like a big deal, but knowing Russell's opinion on that movie, I was kind of scared to show him that.
But granted, I haven't seen Toy Story 3 in like, but I do remember the scene. I do remember the scene in Toy Story 3. But to go more into depth about it, it wasn't just Toy Story 3 they had a cameo in. Basically, My Neighbor Totoro's influence has been far-reaching, so much so that the titular character has appeared in TV series and films beyond Studio Ghibli. He was worked into episodes of South Park and the Powerpuff Girls, and perhaps most famously, he was one of the toys in Toy Story 3. While it looks like we won't ever get a sequel to My Neighbor Totoro, at least we can enjoy these playful extensions of the Ghibli universe. And I think I think I know the reason why that Totoro was in Toy Story 3.
I feel like if I had to guess, it's probably because Disney owned Studio Ghibli, so they.
Well, but that and also John Lasseter had a big part in trying to get Studio Ghibli off of the ground in America, because I think he produced. I know he produced at least 4 Studio Ghibli movies.
I know he produced Ponyo. I do know that.
Yeah, he produced Ponyo. I think he also did Nausicaa, I think.
I'm looking it up right now.
Fuck, what else did he do?
Okay, so
Shit.
Okay, so John Lasseter produced, from what I'm seeing right now, he produced Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Tales from Earthsea, and, of course, Ponyo.
Okay. So yeah, he had a very big part in, the rise of Studio Ghibli in America. So I think that's why he had, excuse me, such a big. I think that's why Totoro would have a cameo in Toy Story 3, because it was basically because of John Lasseter. But yeah, I think that's pretty much about it. So, what are your final thoughts, Odd Boy, on My Neighbor Totoro?
I thought it was a very enjoyable movie overall. Like, given its simple story, but coming from all like the three previous movies where like the story, whether it made sense or not, it always was, action packed or, full of plot twists and just like so much involved with the plots. But this is just so simple, and it's very easy to understand, and like you said, not much really happens compared to the last three, but given this story's plot, it works. And you know, coming from Grave of the Fireflies, watching this, that was a really nice change of pace. Going from all of these crazy stories with just so much emotion, going from that to a simple, heartwarming story overall between the two sisters. You know, and the spiritual creatures. I thought it was pretty good. I would probably give this like it's definitely an A tier movie. I don't think it's as good as Castle in the Sky, but I still enjoy it a lot. Like I can definitely come back to watching this a lot. So I would probably give it a solid, probably just like a solid A. Like I think an A in general is fine. I think my only thing with this movie is that Totoro wasn't really involved a lot. Like
Yeah,
he has his scenes, but you know,
but yeah, he's on the poster. He's in the name. He's the fucking logo of Studio Ghibli. And yeah, I think his total screen time is probably just under like 20 minutes of footage,
yeah,
which is
I
very surprising.
I kind of expected more of Totoro, but like, you know, other than that, it's still an enjoyable movie. But I just kind of wish I saw a little bit more of Totoro.
I think this is also the shortest Studio Ghibli movie we watched so far.
Uh, I think you are right.
Because it even with like Grave of the Firefly with here, let me look at it.
I think they're around the same.
Yeah, it is.
It is actually.
Yeah, 86 minutes.
Huh.
It is 2 minutes shorter than Grave of the Fireflies, but I think it's because shit that was going on in that movie, it didn't really feel as like what's his face? It didn't feel as like long. But because of Grave of the Fireflies, because of how much shit was going on in that, it made the movie feel longer. Whereas this one, barely anything happened. So like
You'd be
it kind
surprised.
of just it kind of breezed along very quickly.
Like, yeah, you'd be surprised just how much time passes when, despite not much happening in the movie.
Yeah. Um, but yeah. So for me, My Neighbor Totoro is a very good movie, and I will be definitely coming back to this. It's fuck. This is where it gets difficult for me. It's the most accessible out of the four that we watched so far. Because it's very short at only 86 minutes, and it's a very almost a nothing plot where it's like very little hatchy happens. But with that being said, I feel like I'm connected more with the other films because there's a lot more going on. Like with Nausicaa, Castle in the Sky, Grave of the Fireflies, there's a lot more happening in those ones, which in turn makes me more captivated to watch those. Or I feel more in the story. Whereas this one, like, yeah, the characters are enjoyable, and I do really have watching it, but nothing really happens, and it's kind of like in that gray area for me, where it's kind of like there. It's like I really want to put this movie higher, but at the same time, there's a lot of like little things that kind of like kept like keep it back. Like I said, like yeah, even though like I said that not really much happening to it does give it a boost for this film. You know, that still also does mean that barely little happens like event wise. So it kind of just feels like you don't really experience as much compared to some of the other ones. Um, like Franco said, Totoro barely has any screen time, even though he's the fucking poster boy of the movie. And that kind of did disappoint me a bit, where I was just like, like why doesn't he pop up more? And obviously now we're probably not going to get a sequel. But it's kind of just
That's just Studio Ghibli for you.
yeah, this is how they are. And then like I don't know, it's kind of weird. I'm gonna put this, even though I think this is a like an A minus or like it feels like it could have the potential to be an A minus movie. I'm gonna give it a B plus because it just feels like that, and there could have been so much more with it.
Yeah.
And it kind of under delivered in a way. Yeah. But it's like not in the film's detriment, if that makes sense. It's weird. But yeah, so it's kind of weird. I think I'm gonna put this on the same level as Nausicaa in a weird way, where I feel like that one where Nausicaa has too much going on. This has too little. And they're both kind of like on the same kind of level where like they feel like they could have either more or less taken away from it, and it probably would have been better. But I feel like they're both on the same level for me. So I'm gonna give this film a B plus. But yeah. But anyway, guys, that's gonna be it for this episode of Studio Ghibli Summer. And as per usual, go and check out, if you like this sort of content, make sure to hit that subscribe button and hit that bell icon to get notified when future videos are coming out. We are so fucking close to 200 subscribers. That would mean the world to me if we can get up to 200 subscribers. So, if we can do that, that would be so fucking cool.
Yeah.
Obviously, go and check out, Franco's channel, both on YouTube and on Kick, because I think you're starting to slowly get back into live streaming, I think.
Yeah, although I don't know if it will like immediately come back, because I personally, I would want to focus on Studio Ghibli Summer first, because that's a more timed event. Like, it has a limit. I mean, it's Studio Ghibli Summer. Like, you're not gonna see us do this in like the fall or some shit. So like, I want to focus on that more. Whereas with streaming, I can just do it whenever I want.
Yeah. But yeah, as always, in the description below, go and follow me on my media page, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You'll get notified when future videos are coming out, as well as just, my personal life as a whole. Also go and follow me on my Letterboxd page, because if you guys want to figure out when or like how I feel about these Studio Ghibli movies early, that's where you guys will figure it out first before the video reviews actually come out. So go and follow me down there. Also go and follow me on my Twitch page. I'm gonna try and do get back to live streaming, but we'll see about that. And I think that's about it. Well, obviously you can click the card right here to my channel, and click at these two videos on the side for more Studio Ghibli Summer. And Franco, you want to announce what the or you want to say what the next film will be for Studio Ghibli Summer? Because I know you're excited for this next one.
Yeah, I was actually about to bring that up. But yeah, the next Studio Ghibli movie we have on our list is Kiki's Delivery Service. And I've heard so much about it, and, being one of the best Ghibli movies. So I'm really looking forward to this.
All right. So yeah, see you guys next time for Kiki's Delivery Service. And as always, hope you guys had a great day. So we'll see you guys next time for Kiki's Delivery Service. Live long and prosper. Out.
Later.